So good evening class. So we're here to discuss all about approaches in teaching literature. So what is teaching approach? It is to provide a framework or sequence of operations to be used when we come to actualities. So yes, teaching approach acts as a blueprint or the framework in teaching your students because there are many approaches and you should only pick one to which you will be using as a guide in teaching the students, and you can choose what's best for you. So what's the importance? It is acquainted with variety of approaches, techniques, and activities. So with approaches also comes the techniques and the different activities, and each one have their own various types and designs. Stimulate and develop students' interest, knowledge of literature. So, teaching approach gives an improvement to the students' interest in literature. So this is very important because as a teacher, you would like your students to be hooked or be interested with literature, as this is one of the most vital element in education, that is literature. So you must find ways so that the students will be enthused with literature. Okay? So here are the 4 teaching approaches. So number 1, we have here language-based approach. The next is paraphrastic approach. The third is moral philosophical approach. And the last one is stylistic approach. Okay, so let's tackle each one. So let's start with language-based approach. So these incorporate language and literature syllabus. So as with the name, it's already self-explanatory. This is all about language, and this is also can be called studying of language. It's language-based approach, and it is concerned more directly with the study of the literary text itself. So with this approach, the teacher focuses more on the literary text itself rather than the context. The teacher will focus on what type of literary device, what type of format that is used, and he or she will tackle that in front of his or her class. So that's what language-based approach is all about. Now that we've already discussed this first approach, let's move on to the second one, which is paraphrastic approach. So this one is different as it surface meaning of text paraphrase. Yes, it's where the word paraphrastic derives. Paraphrase, okay? It reword the story in simple language, translating it into another language and the beginners of target language. Okay, so when a teacher uses this approach, the teacher usually reads a certain type of text and he or she will paraphrase it so that the students will understand more. Because usually there are many texts and statements that cannot be comprehensible in the first read. So you have to reread it again And sometimes when your students cannot understand, it is up to you to paraphrase that so that they will understand that statement, okay? And sometimes if the language used is not in their beginning in their mother tongue language, it is up to the teachers how they should translate it so that the students can understand the words. Okay, so that's the meaning of paraphrastic approach. So a lot of teachers use this one because this is more commonly used in elementary, in the students that usually use a mother tongue language. Okay, so they will translate the English language into mother tongue so that the students will understand. Okay, so paraphrastic approach, it is all about paraphrasing. Okay, it's the keyword. So now let's move on to the third one, moral philosophical approach. So this one, read a particular literary text and search for moral values. Yes. So like what I said earlier, this approach is also self-explanatory, moral philosophical. So this focuses more on the lessons that you will get from the story. Next is the awareness of values and assist students to understand themes in future readings. So a great example to that are the teachers who often use fables, proverbs like that. These are the type of literary works that is filled with moral values. So the teachers that uses that type of literary works are usually using the moral philosophical approach. Okay. So usually in this approach, the teachers will focus more on the students' learning capacity in determining what type of theme that is used in their story. Okay, so that is also their way of teaching them morally and philosophically. Okay, now let's move on to the last one, which is all about stylistics approach. It is closer understanding, appreciation of literary texts. Yes, so this one focuses on the text, literary text. Combination of linguistic analysis and literary critique, and demands a close reading and rereading of a literary text by the students. So this one is more common in high school students because this is where the teachers will give them a type of literary works and then they will let the students read the story all by themselves, and the teacher will let them analyze what the story is all about and what does the author wants to convey to the students. This is where the students will have a more exercise now because they will have to know what type of literary text that the story has, and it also demands close reading and rereading of a literary text by the students. So this one cannot be successful if you will only read it once. So in the stylistic approach, you must reread and analyze the text in order for you to understand its main idea. Very good. Closer understanding that may be not found in the book. So this needs a deeper dig a deeper understanding on the story. Okay? Now that's what stylistic approach means. So after that, we will need to go to the objectives of literature. So literature, as important as it is, they have their own objectives to be followed as a student and as a teacher. Okay? So the first one, an awareness of the value and pleasure of reading good literary works. So the teacher's objective, he or she must train the students to appreciate and give value and have pleasure in reading, not just reading because you ask them to, but you have to let them train themselves to read for their own pleasure and their own choice. Good literary works should be focused and not other type of any text, because literature is the most important text that a student can read. Okay? The second one is an appreciation and deeper understanding of important human concerns and human relationship. So in reading literature, you can also, as a student, you can also create a bond with your classmates, with your teachers, and with the other types of students from all around the world, because this is also connecting. Literature is also connecting different people from all around the world. So you must learn to appreciate and be 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 I forgot the word. You must learn how to give in importance in the human values and human relationships through reading literature. Because in reading literature, the teacher and the students are creating a bond that they will cherish in their life. So next one is the ability to appreciate values which would enhance an understanding of themselves and their relationship with others. So just like what I've said, literature have many things, have many purposes, and many advantages. So that is all about appreciation and treasuring values. The values that you will learn in different types of literary works will be useful in the student's life and throughout his or her life, because those values will be remembered, and he or she will treasure those values in his or her adulthood that can be applied. Okay. Next, an initial ability to communicate the response to text supported with reasons, and also, yes, of course, it's an initial ability. So reading literary also enhances your critical learning skills, because when you read something, you can create a new idea, a new information that that are not found in the book and on this story. Like when you read something, you can also create a type of moral lesson that you understood throughout the story. Therefore, you can create new ideas and improving your cognitive ability. And also an acquaintance with an appreciation of the main forms of literary expressions and literary device used. So also, this also focused on the appreciation of main forms of literary expressions and the type of literary device. So what are some of the most common literary devices? So when reading a literary piece, literary device can also be found. There is no literary works that doesn't contain even a single type of literary device, because literary device brings color and more life, gives life to the certain type of literary work. So because of that, literature lets us give and enhance imagination of all about literary devices, as there are many types of them, and it is up to you how many you will use and how many you will encounter throughout your education life. So that's it, and I hope you understood my lesson. So any questions regarding to the topic, teaching approaches and objectives of literature? None? So thank you. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my little presentation.